Hi and welcome to my latest YouTube video. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to reverse score a particular scale, and there are two methods of reverse scoring. But before going into reverse scoring, I just want to talk a bit about what a scale essentially is. So scale is essentially a tool that measures a construct. Now a construct could be anything. It could be depression, anxiety, stress, happiness, self-esteem. These are things that you cannot see but you know exist, and you can also measure them using a particular scale. A scale is essentially used to measure these constructs. Now there are different types of scales, and there are different constructs as well. But for the sake of this particular example, I'm going to be using this fake scale that I've created called the happiness scale. Now, this scale, as the name suggests, is going to measure happiness. And a scale essentially has several items, and the items are statements usually to which the respondents agree, disagree, and things like that. There are 3-point scales, there are 5-point scales. So sometimes instead of 3 options, you may have 5 options. So that's what a 5-point scale means. So here we have only 3 options, and there are also 3 questions, 3 statements. Usually, a particular scale will have more than 3 statements. It's about 5 or 10 or 15, 20, even 100. But this is just for the sake of example, so I'm just using a fake scale that I created to measure happiness. All right, so let's take this particular scale and let's go by the manual method of reverse scoring. So before going into reverse scoring, as I told you, this is a scale that measures happiness. And the first item says, on most days, I feel glad to be alive when I wake up. So that's obviously a positive statement. Okay, and if you look at the scoring here, so usually a scale will have an option to look at how you're basically going to score the responses. The scoring instruction says that higher total score indicates higher happiness. So if somebody is having a higher total score, okay, then it basically means that they are more happier in their lives. And a lower total score would obviously mean the opposite, that they're unhappy. Now the scoring is as follows. Agree would be 3. So if someone agrees to a statement, you give them 3. If someone neither agrees or disagrees to the statement, they're like neutral about it, then you give them 2. And then if they disagree to the statement, you give them 1. Now, the tricky part about reverse scoring is that some questions or some statements are negatively worded or worded in an opposite manner. So for the first 2 statements, as you can see, on most days I feel glad to be alive when I wake up. That's obviously a positive statement. Let's say this person agrees to this. Okay, he's a very optimistic person to some extent. He agrees to it, so we give him 3. And he says, most of the times I feel that everything in my life is just the way I want it to be. Yeah. So he agrees to this as well. I mean, he says, yeah, I know. So most of the times I feel that everything in my life is going well. So we give him 3 because that's what the scoring indicates. If he agrees, you give him 3. But remember, now we come to the third item or the third statement, which says, I sometimes wish I were dead. Okay, so that's a negative statement. So he says sometimes he wishes that he was dead. Now, if you give him, let's say he agrees to this too as well, because sometimes people do feel sad, sometimes they're not perfectly happy. So he says, I sometimes do wish I were dead. Now, remember the instructions, it says item number 3 must be reverse scored. So what is reverse scoring? Agree would become 1, neither agree or disagree would remain as 2, and disagree would become 3. Now this person agrees to the statement. He says, I sometimes do wish I were dead. So therefore, you're not going to give him 3, instead you're going to put 1. Okay, because this is the reverse score. Okay, so that's how the manual method of reverse scoring works. Okay, so if you do this while collecting data itself, then you won't have any problem. You can just directly total it, and you can basically tell how happy this person is. For example, his total would come to this particular respondent's total would come to 7, right? Because 3 plus 3 plus 1, that is 7, right? So that's one way of doing it. So therefore, you can say that out of 9, which is the total score this person could score, he has scored 7. So that is 7 out of 9. Now that's the manual method. Now let's assume you don't pay attention to this reverse scoring here, okay, and you just go on, giving 3 for all agree statements, and 2 for all neither agree or disagree statements, and 1 for all disagree statements. You don't pay attention to this reverse scoring part, and what you do is you give this. He agrees to the statement, so you give him 3 as well. So that way your total will get messed up, right? Obviously, this is a negative term, and you can't count it as a happy statement. So this total is not how it's going to be, right? It's going to be different. So we need to use pspp or a data analysis software to reverse score this, right? So this is where the pspp method of reverse scoring works. But remember, if you can just follow the instructions, right? If you follow these instructions and if you mark it as 1, this particular statement, when he agrees to it, you don't have to reverse score it later on. I'm talking about a situation when you do not pay attention to this, right? And when you go ahead and you mark all agree statements as 3, all neither agree or disagree as 2, and disagree as 1, then you need to perform reverse scoring using PSPP or SPSS or any other data analysis software. So in the next part of the video, I'm going to be showing you how to reverse score it in case you have not reverse scored it while collecting the data. Okay, so let's assume that you did not follow the manual method of reverse scoring while collecting the data, and you entered, you gave 3 to all the statements where the respondent has agreed, and 1 to all the statements where he or she has disagreed, and you have not reverse scored while collecting the data. You have not followed the manual method. So here is where you need to reverse score. So this should technically be 1 instead of 3. So it's of course easy to quickly reverse score it here itself. I can just click here and just turn it into 1, and then I'm done. But let's say you have like 100 respondents. It's not so easy to do it. So that's where you need to use the software. So you enter the response as it is, without the reverse scoring part. And before I show you how to reverse score, I'll just quickly show you the variables. So here we have only one respondent. The first variable is age. Okay, the second one is happiness, which is the first item of happiness, HAP1, HAP2, and HAP3. The third item is the one that we need to reverse score. Now, we only have one respondent. Of course, you're going to have hundreds of respondents, but this is just for the example's sake. As I told you, if it's only one respondent, you can just quickly manually do it. But let's say you have hundreds of respondents and you need to change, reverse score each of them. And it's not just 3 into 1, but also 1 into 3. Let's say someone scored 1, you have to reverse score into 3. So this is a big process and you can't do it manually. It takes a lot of time. You may miss a few respondents. So that is where you need to use the transform option. So for this, you need to go to transform. You need to go into recode into same variables, not different variables, recode into same variables. And only put the third variable inside this, the third happiness item inside, which is happiness 3. You put it in, click on old and new values. So here, I already have something here. Let me just delete that. Here, you put 1. So the old value is 1. That will become 3. And then click on add. Then 2 will remain as 2. Click on add. And 3 will become 1. And click on add. So what I'm telling the computer is that turn any response 1 into 3. Keep 2 as 2. If someone has responded 3, turn it into 1. Okay. So I'm just telling it to reverse score it. And then I click on continue. And I click on OK. So I just go to the data view. So here you can see the 3 has become 1. So this is just for one respondent. So it looks easy. But let's say it was like hundreds and hundreds of respondents. All of them would be quickly reverse scored. If someone had scored 3, it would become 1. And if someone had scored 1, that would have become 3 as well. Okay, so you need to remember that because I've given the code. So that would have happened as well. Now it's important to remember that you need to total the scale or the items only after you've reverse scored. So do not total it before you have reverse scored it. Otherwise you'll get a wrong total and you'll get a wrong measurement of the respondent's happiness. Now that I've done with the reverse scoring, and I can go ahead and total it. So how do I total the scale? I've already showed you that earlier in my previous video, but let me just show it to you again. Go to transform, compute. So let me just reset this. I've already have this inside. Yeah, happiness, first item plus happiness 2, that's the second item, plus happiness 3 or the third item. Click on OK, but before that I need to label it. I'll say TOTHAP, that is total happiness. Sorry. Yeah. And then I'll label it as total happiness. Click on continue. And let me just go back and show you. I click on OK. So once I've clicked on OK, you can see this total happiness item that has appeared here. And if I go back to the variable view, I can see the new variable here as well, total happiness. So the total happiness score of this respondent is 7. So he has scored 7 out of 9 as I previously showed you. So that's how you total it after you reverse score. So please remember, Only after you reverse score the items you need to total it. Do not total it before you reverse score the particular item. You may have many items to reverse score, not only one. This is just an example sake, so you may have many items that may have to be reverse scored in some scales. Some scales do not have reverse scoring at all, in which case it's very easy, you just collect it as it is. And so these are the two ways through which you can reverse score. One is the manual method and one is the pspp method. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more such videos. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.